Aloha y'all, Daniel Aaron here, your guide to vibrant living. And I've got a great little video for you here today that is really about empowerment, finances, abundance, and specifically business. And a big part of my work in the world is empowering spiritual entrepreneurs, right? Because, one of my favorite quotations, there's nothing sadder than a broke philanthropist. Now, if this is interesting to you, if you find it useful, please like, subscribe, share. Let's get the word out for more vibrancy. And here's the question to start us off. What is your relationship with business? Are you an entrepreneur? Could you be an entrepreneur? Would you like to be an entrepreneur? Now, I'm going to tell you about the Personal MBA, about business, a tiny bit about my own story with business, and most excitingly, my 15-year-old daughter's journey with business. Now, firstly, the Personal MBA. If you don't know this story, well, good, because I'm going to share it with you, and two, good, because I'm going to leave out a couple of pieces of info that are key that you can find out about, like the dude's name. All right, and here's one of the things. Reading Kindle books. Oh, here comes Thor. Hey, Thor. Reading books on Kindle sometimes leads me to not connect with the cover and the author's name. So I'll come back to it. I'll put it in the comments. Incredible story. This is the Personal MBA and how this came to be. Now, the reason it came to be is this guy, the author of the book and the creator of the website, and really a whole movement, was a business student, an undergraduate business student. He went to a school that empowered him to get quite an awesome undergraduate degree, like kind of a graduate level education as an undergraduate. And from there, he went on to have an internship with one of the top 500 companies. I think it was Procter & Gamble. And from that, actually got a great job offered to him in short order. Now, at that point, he was advised and he considered the possibility of going back to school to get an MBA. In case you don't know that term, Masters of Business Administration, right? A graduate level business degree. And so he really evaluated that. Now, he's a smart guy, he's an ambitious guy, he worked hard, he studied hard, and he thought, well, if I get this degree, that would really enable me to get a job just like the job I have now. And it would cost a lot and I would go into debt for that. So what if I don't do that and instead really devote myself to learning on my own? And so one of the things he'd done before he took that job is he wanted to be as prepared as he could. So the summer before he started that job, he read, I don't know what it was, 30 different business books to really educate himself and get a leg up on things, and it worked, and that's and he excelled quite quickly in that job. So he decided, rather than going back for his MBA, he was just going to keep up his own self-education. Great quotation, by the way, I heard recently. Forget who it was that said it. Feel free to drop in the comments if you know. I'm convinced self-education is the only education there is. Now, so he went on and was studying and learning and reading books, and as you know, not all books are equal. Not all teachers are equal. Not all the information is as useful or powerful as some other information. So what he started doing is, first, just to help himself kind of sort through it, and the way he put it is, for every 10 books he read, one was really amazing and a whole bunch were just not so good. So he started compiling, just on a blog originally, hey, these are the books that are really impacting me and making a great impression. I'm learning a lot from them, and kind of highlighting which ones were best. And just, one, to help himself, and two, as an offering for other people, maybe it would be useful for them. And he went on like this for some time. Then something shifted. Like something's shifting with the wind at the moment. So what shifted was a little scandal in academia. This was, I think, 2005, you may have even heard about this back in the day. Harvard Business School, one of course, the top-rated business schools in the world, had a new class of MBA students coming in. Well, 116 of them, before they even got there, were disqualified. They revoked their admission. Why? Because 116 students had hacked into Harvard's computer system, and they knew before they got their acceptance letter that they were going to be accepted. So Harvard, what did they do? They said, no way, you can't come. That's a breach of our ethics. Now, I told my daughter this story, and we'll get to her in a moment. I told her this story, and she said, that's stupid. They should have rewarded them. If they were smart enough to do that, then they were great students. Well, a few people felt that way. Others didn't feel that way. Somebody one of my teachers and heroes, Seth Godin, great author of some really beautiful marketing books and other books, he had a different response than pretty much anybody at the time. His response was, Harvard just did those 116 students a huge favor, saved them $150,000 and 2 years of their lives. Part of what he was pointing to is that, well, academic business education isn't necessarily as valuable or useful as one might think. Because what is extremely valuable and useful, everybody who's an entrepreneur knows this, it's experience. Because that's how you find out what works and what doesn't, right? And a lot of what's taught in academic business situations is, well, they don't say it's academic for nothing. It's not applicable. It's old. It's taught by people that are not actually doing business, and it doesn't necessarily work. So Seth Godin put this blog up and said, hey, just did a great favor. Now, our friend who was already working on the Personal MBA saw Seth's post and sent him a message, an email, and said, oh, loved what you had to say. You might find this interesting. 2 minutes later, he got a message back from Seth, and Seth had blogged or tweeted or something, broadcast out about the Personal MBA. And then our friend who was toiling away a little bit in obscurity with his work, his blog and his website about these books, suddenly millions of hits to his website, and it blew up. Now, I'm telling you all of this for a couple reasons. One, you might want to check out the website, Personal MBA. And two, he's actually written a book. I think it was 10 years ago, he wrote a book that's a tiny bit about his experience and a lot about business. Now me, I didn't study business. I was not interested in studying business. I went to school to be a music major. I switched. I got into philosophy, religion, and English. I thought about going back to get a graduate degree in philosophy, and instead got into yoga. And what I realized, though, early in my life is, by nature, I am an entrepreneur. I had my first job and my first employees when I was 8 years old, and I realized, hey, I could increase my paper route by hiring some other kids to do paper route too. And it went on from there. Now, some years later, after many different jobs and businesses and less jobs, more businesses, entrepreneurial pursuits, I built a center and a thriving business in Bali. People came from around the world to do transformational events with me and with us. And one of the things I learned there when business went to a whole new level for me was there was great value in ignorance. And what I mean by that is I didn't know what I couldn't do. Does that make sense? I didn't know what I couldn't do. And we had extraordinary success and very fast. And years later, as I went to another level of business, and as people came in and got involved with my business, they looked at it and they said, well, you can't do that. How could you do that? And I said, well, I don't know, I just did it, right? And I won't go into details because that's not relevant for us today. There's also a limit to ignorance, which is there are some things that we are served in certain areas by actually understanding. And for me personally right now, as I'm reading Personal MBA, it's opening my mind in so many cool ways because I'm getting a new level of foundation. Like I had always understood the value that's inherent in business, you know, and giving more and serving more and making sure that I over deliver on what I've promised, right? And how to work a business in such that it increases and grows. Now, what inspired me to share this with you, and this is the last piece I'll share for this little bit today, is, and really gets to the reason I'm recording this for you right now, which is it's so valuable to be empowered as an entrepreneur, right? And what does that really mean? It means somebody who works for themselves, who creates value in the world, who gives, and who runs their life, has autonomy. Now, there's a great argument to be made that education was built to train employees, to train factory workers from the industrial era, to create compliant people who follow orders, who make money for whom? For other people, who help build whose dreams? Other people's dreams, right? And there's nothing wrong with being an employee or an intrapreneur if that's your jam, if that's what you're into, awesome. What's really cool though is knowing that you have all you need to become an entrepreneur. Now, last week I went to Mexico for a business training, right? And one of the greatest skills in life, of course, is to be constantly learning, to constantly increasing one's own education. So I'm always doing that, right? I've been teaching years ago, people used to say, Daniel, don't you think you have enough trainings? Do you really need to do another one? And at first I was like, oh, maybe I'm hiding. But no, you know what? To have an extraordinary life, we have to keep growing, and growing via other people's wisdom, via a community of growing people. That's just smart. Plus it's fun. It's valuable because we're always increasing our own value, then we have more value to give in the world. So I was at this conference last week, and conference, seminar, event was awesome. Combination of business skills, mindset, spiritual growth, personal growth. And my 15-year-old daughter came with me for this. And I really left it up to her. I was like, yeah, you could come to, just hang out in Mexico. I'd be happy to pay for you to join and be part of the event. And it was a chunky investment. I was thrilled to make it though, and I was super glad that she said, yeah, I want to do it. So she was the only kid in the entire group, and she doesn't have a business at the moment. So what was the point? What was the reason for it? Main reason was I want her to know that she can be an entrepreneur, that she can live life on her own terms, that she can create her life the way she wants. And Oscar Wilde said, when I was a kid, I thought money was the most important thing. Now that I'm old, I know it's the most important thing. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe it's the most important thing. Although, as Jim Rohn said, money's not the most important thing, though it ranks up there with oxygen. More to the point though, really, and yes, business, your own business, is one of the most powerful ways that you can create wealth. And what is wealth really about? It's about freedom, the freedom to do what you want. It's also one of the most powerful ways to grow, right? I'm still convinced after many, many years on both paths that the most powerful ways to develop spiritually, parenting and business, right? As well, part of what entrepreneurship is all about is solving problems, serving other people, giving something to the world that's missing. It's an incredible path. So this is my pep talk for you around the value of entrepreneurship, knowing that you can do it, knowing that if you want to do it, there are great resources available to educate yourself in order to do so. And if you want to go to Harvard Business School or any business school and do that, totally cool. That's up to you. You can do that. It's not the only way, and it might not be the most effective or efficient or economically viable ways, yet it's a path to you. Any kind of education that sparks curiosity, that grows you, beautiful. Now, with that, I will wrap it up. And one more thing, y'all. If you would like some support to develop your business, and only, at least with me, if it's in the realm of spiritual entrepreneurship, as in if it's mission driven, if it's about doing something, offering something that is aligned with your spiritual values, your vision, your potential, then I'll put a link down below. I've opened up in my calendar some spots to have conversations with specifically spiritual entrepreneurs or wannapreneurs, as in, yeah, maybe I want to create a business or level up my business or realign my business more in a spiritual realm. And these conversations, if you're interested, just book one down below, is just a chance for us to get to know each other, for me to find out what's going on in you, where you're at, what you would like to create, and if I can help you, and if it's a fit with one of my programs, I'm happy to tell you about that. And if not, point you in the right direction for what would be helpful for you. Either way, it's an awesome opportunity for me to give some value, to make some energetic deposits in the world, and a blessed chance to connect with amazing people. I love it, and I'm super grateful for it. So if you are motivated, if you're curious, let's talk. And with that, I bid you adieu for now. Aloha, y'all.